On my way over to the meadows, decided it was going to be a snowstorm. It was some weird weather this morning. I got to the burn. I'll upload some of the videos throughout the day. They're just loading onto my phone now. But, you know, we got there. It was 31 degrees. Still is 31 degrees. So I'm thinking, if the track's going to be sloppy, I'm not training the horses today. We'll see how it is. And we went out and it wasn't bad, but it was slick. It was pretty icy underneath, and I thought they would have scraped the track while they had the opportunity. I think the weather's changing by the hour, but the report I heard last night was that we're in for a bit of a deep freeze. Not crazy cold temperatures, just cold temperatures for the next 8 or 10 days, and I thought today would have been a good opportunity for them to scrape all the track off and put some new material on it, but they left the snow on it. Actually, they started putting dirt on the track earlier on this morning, which, whatever. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not a track guy, and just because I think it should be done one way certainly doesn't mean that it should. And I don't really care what they do as long as the track's in good shape tomorrow. You know, I've been after Jason and Enos and now Chris today to make sure every horse that we have in to go Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday have big giant corks on them. I want them ready to go for what appears to be some icy weather coming our way. So the day started okay, cloudy. I didn't want the sun to come out anyway. At 31 degrees, you're talking about hovering around freezing. If the sun comes out with snow and ice on the track, you don't have to be a genius to figure out what comes next. Pretty bad, sloppy track, very wet. So I was more than happy just to keep it cloudy the rest of the morning. That didn't even happen. About the fifth set, everybody in the shed row, their phones went off, you know, like an Amber Alert. And mine was in the room. I didn't hear it, but I heard everybody else's. And I heard Amy say, "Oh, I see." They put out a special weather advisory saying that there was a lot of snow and cold weather coming. Which, really, do you need a weather advisory for northeastern Ohio? By the way, it's January 16th. Might be cold soon. Snow might be imminent. Okay. But then Amy goes, "I don't even know what this means." There was lightning bolts in the snow. We're going to get some thunder snow. Never heard of such a thing. We were actually joking about it. And you can hear I actually cursed a little bit. I was getting on the track, getting ready to turn the horse to train. And it started thundering. No, I didn't see any lightning, but thundering. And it scared me the first one. You don't expect it, right? It's wintertime. But it was thunder. And it was just weird. And then the snow, you could see it. Northfield's such a weird place. I noticed a couple of times they got hard rainstorms. You just kind of see it rain, right? But it's almost like you can see it come over the backstretch and then just hit. That's how the snow was. I could see it coming from our barn, this wall of snow, and it just, poof, it just hit us. You couldn't see a thing immediately. Scott was way at the back with St. Sarah, said he couldn't see us. I said, "Well, just take your glasses down and you'll be able to train." But that's how quick it came on. And it was a nice feeling. My sweaters, my turtleneck's soaked. And, you know, the horses just struggled throughout the day. You know, if they were shot 3 weeks ago, coming up due to be shot again, it means their corks are a little worn off. And remember how the weather was over the last 3 weeks. It really wasn't icy at all. It rained all last week. So not a ton of them had the full 4 corks. I looked at the 14-day forecast before we left to go away, and it was all, you know, well above seasonal temperatures. Well, the last thing you want to have is big winter corks on your horses in a wet, sticky track. So they were all kind of corked. The ones that were done over the last few days had full cork on. They were few and far between, and there was a lot of slipping and a lot of braking today. Most notably, I went with Boitano. He ran at every turn. The source I trained in 249 or 250 a week before I left, and he was very good. Today, he would just get to the turn. I was getting a little aggravated too, because he would get to the turn and put 2 steps into the turn and roll off. You got to push through. So the first set, I didn't see all of it. Boitano had lost a shoe. I went in to get a Murphy blind fixed. It was just a mess. And I believe Lou Armstrong won the set, if I'm not mistaken. Perfect Instead, Dame Hanover, and Exky were all right there. Money's tied up. It made a break, actually. Almost, Amy could have got hurt this morning. Money's tied up, so she was lucky in that regard. It just, with all the snow and all the traffic on the track, and then they brought out this big dump truck with dirt to sprinkle over the snow, which made, again, it made very little sense to me. But, well, it was a lot like this. It was of this for the entire morning. Variations of a blizzard. Hard snow, light snow, cloudy, thunder. It was just a ridiculous day. So a lot of the horses did struggle today. They're not the type of training day I really like. And you could tell. When I went out with Boitano, I scored him down, he ran, I said, oh, this is what the day is going to bring, is it? Because keep in mind, most of our babies wear flip-flops up front. Yeah, I had somebody message me the other day and said, in the winter would it be more beneficial to wear just a normal shoe with cork? And I said, no, I don't. I'm not going to shoe my horses on what might happen if there was a snowfall. It snows, you take the snow off the track, get a hold of the track with the corks. There are some horses that probably won't be able to go all winter long with flip-flops on. This happens every year. But for the horses that can, they do. So Boitano struggled today. He made a break. Everybody else in that set, I think, was good. Money's tied up and then go back in and then come back out. She was fine, I think Amy said afterwards. But the four other horses now, they were a little bit ahead of me. But from what I could see, all four of them were right there. I thought that Lou Armstrong got up and win. I didn't ask them how much they went, but as I finished up my mile, I went a mile in 2:51. They beat me by at least 10 lengths. So you're looking at 2:48, 2:49 with the first set. Lou Armstrong, Dane Hanover, Perfect Instead, and X-Key. Those are four very nice trotters of ours anyway, so I'm not surprised they did well. Second set, I had Complete Unknown. My video started late. I might have forgot the first part. I was focused on Complete Unknown. I was really watching Frolic. They said she was a little grabby jogging this week, so I put a snake cord on her. And what happens with most horses, I would say if you put a snake cord on 10 babies for the first time, 7 wouldn't pick the bit up and would be, let's say, flustered with the snake cord in their mouth, and 3 would just pull anyway. Frolic was one of the 7. She just acted up a little bit. She was fine afterwards. Gerald said, I don't think she needs that snake cord. She's going to wear it for a while. She's Tactical Landing. We're going to keep the beast subdued for the entire winter if we can. We've had a lot of Tactical Landings, and once you let those voices in, it's hard. Even a great mare like Tactical Mounds, who was as good a horse as you would ever want to have, or a variation of a snake cord or a dog chain all of her life. Even in the mile in 49 and 4, she had a snake cord on. I believe Megan had told me. So I certainly don't have a problem with that. I would rather not pick the bit up. I'd rather, and it's funny because, so when we went away, it was all family and friends, and Yannick Gingras and his wife Vicky ended up coming away with us, and we had a conversation. Now, obviously, when it's James McDonald, Yannick Gingras, and Anthony McDonald, it's a little lopsided, right? One guy's on top of the world, one guy is in the Hall of Fame and was on top of the world forever. Still is. I shouldn't say was. Not past tense. He still is. And I never was. Never will be. They were on the first line. I was on the fourth line, if you want to talk in hockey terms. If I got to play on the fourth line, I was on the fourth line. There's nothing wrong with that, but we were talking about horses, and you guys that hear me all the time, I'll put a snake cord on a horse. The horse that came to mind was Stay Close. We had him forever, made a lot of money with him. He was a really, really nice horse. Still is a nice horse for Andy. And Stay Close, James always wanted him grabby, right? So he would never put a snake cord on him. He might put a mini bit on him. He might just try to work around it. Whereas I put a snake cord on him. Now, when he came over here, James had already won him 52 and a piece with him at Mohawk. He'd done well, but he was a middle condition horse. One of those ladder horses we talk about. I brought him over to the Meadows, and I put a snake cord on him right away. I said, I'm not pulling and lugging on him. And he went in 52 and 1 at the Meadows and run off. And did nothing but good for us for the better part of 2 years in Pennsylvania. And we were talking about this because I told him there were some babies like Frolic that I could see a snake cord in their near future. And James said, I don't like putting the snake cords on. I'd rather have the bit in their mouth. A lot of catch drivers like that, right? When they have the bit in their mouth, so, and there's nothing wrong with that. But not every catch driver is like that. In fact, Yannick was the other way. I said to James that I can get a horse wound up and hot. I don't need to have a horse warm on the track. I would rather have the bit hanging out of their mouth because I believe I can spark them up and they'll come to life. Which I don't have a lot of ground. I'm not. It's very hard for me to argue racing tactics with James. Although he's still my youngest brother, he's also the 4-time winner of the O'Brien Award. Deservedly so. Wait, he only win 3. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to jinx him. He's the leading driver in Canada. One of the leading drivers in the world, quite frankly. 2-time world driving champion. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. The resume is so difficult for me to argue with James about driving strategies. But I said, I'm just fine. I don't want to be pulling and lugging on them. I want them to behave. And I was surprised. Yannick, we were just sitting talking. He goes, "No, actually, I'm with Anthony. I don't want them pulling and lugging all the time. I can get them wound up enough to leave, to race, to go. I don't need them pulling and lugging." And I was surprised to hear him side with me on this. Didn't really make my argument any stronger, but it was nice to hear that he felt the same way too. And when it came to Frolic today, as it pertains to Frolic, I'm going to leave the snake one on her. I'm fine. Don't pick the bit up. Just go do your work. You got to know her too. Plus, she was great today. I went with her in short order coming off OCD surgery, and she was great again today. Daryl said he just had to pick at her. Plus, she's probably slipping also. And I'll circle back to that in just a second, but it's so impossible to get them to pick the bit up when they're slipping. They just won't. I trained 5. I was going to talk to you about the 5 I trained yesterday. I was excited, went to the barn, went in the race bike. They all trained terrible. And that they weren't terrible. The track was terrible. And they were all exhausted finishing up their miles. We're talking 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 with horses. Tenacious Hanover won a mile in 2.7. I went out to train him hard in the bike. I want him ready to go. I said 2.6, 28 and a piece in the end of it, just raging, with the bit in his mouth. And I'd feel very confident with the rail this week. Instead, he won a mile in 2.7 off half in 104. The best trainer of the day yesterday was Rose Run Bobby. I was happy with how she trained. I only trained one on the race bike today, Allure. I only trained her because she isn't quite as sharp as Tally the Tab and Memento Mori. I didn't want to just scorch them just because today. If it's bad weather, it's bad weather. I didn't want them short, but when I'm looking at Tally and Mori, they're probably going to be favorites in the race. Allure needs a little help. We trained her up a little tighter. She trained better than anybody this week. But it's so hard because they're working so hard in this snowbank to train. It's hard to get a good gauge. Did the horse actually train good? What kind of variant are you giving? I wasn't happy with anybody yesterday. But after training about the third one, I realized it's not a coincidence. They can't all be bad. Obviously the track, because it looks like just a little bit of snow, but underneath that snow, remember, when I was coming home the other day, it was mud. They changed from mud to freezing rain to snow, and then a ton of snow to the point where they canceled the races. So underneath that snow, sheer ice. So it's very difficult for them to get a hold of it. So it really wasn't worth mentioning. In hindsight, was I disappointed? No. They did their work best they could. Everybody trained as good as they could yesterday. I'll leave it at that. And I thought Allure trained very, very good today. So, I don't know how we got all the way over there. Frolic led me down this path. She was good, but Daryl said maybe a mini bet. I said no, mini bets are banned for the foreseeable future in the barn after the Mortlock fiasco of 2026, which was the other day. No more mini bets. I guess that's not true. HP Liz Shadow wears a mini bet, but I know what he's like. Put him on the gate, he'll pull, and I don't have any need of using the mini bit today. You could put dental floss around his snaffle bit today. I have no intention of taking him off the gate. So Complete Unknown I was very happy with. Incredible, looked great again. Eric, we're pulling up, we're having a conversation. You'll catch it on the glasses. And he said, she's a little excitable. I said, well, she's sharp. She's feeling good. You keep doing exactly what you're doing with her and she'll be perfectly fine. He's done a great job with the horses. Eric's always that quiet set of hands, right? That it's always nice to have somebody, because I'm out there and I am. the gym teacher all the time. And it's nice to have the guidance counselor once in a while. So you'll see me go with different horses. And Eric just always has them quiet, which is good. What do we got here? Incredible was great. Frolic, I talked about her. Rogue Titan looked great again. Bella Dale looked good. PJ's Lovin'. Everybody in that set was good. I was extremely happy with Complete Unknown. Extremely happy. Jeepers. Now it's funny. Now it's perfectly beautiful. This drive down the Ohio Turnpike from Ohio to Pennsylvania is the strangest drive. It's like the Bermuda Triangle. Could be any kind of weather from start to finish. I've driven down here. It was a beautiful sunny day. I get halfway down the turnpike and it is a torrential downpour, and then you get to the meadows and it's fine. It's the weirdest stretch of highway I've been on in my life. Scott said PJ's Lovin' was on the right line, but Scott just has to understand, again, when they get slipping and they get leaning, it's hard to correct them. You have to know what you're dealing with. You have to know how to correct them. It just comes from experience. But PJ's Lovin' was fine. Rogue Titan looked very, very good. I was really happy with Incredible Rogue Titan. They were ahead of me finishing up. But Complete Unknown, his hobbles they're way too long. But I'm just going to leave them be for now. I really like this horse. You know, his mother was very dainty, very frail, but brought everything she could to the table all the time. And that's why I liked her. And, you know, I wasn't going to hesitate to buy one of her offspring. Well and Down was a bit of an overachiever, decently bred, and always put in a good effort, and I liked her for that. So not surprised that I like her son. So set 2 was good. Set 3, Deadline kind of lost a shoe, but as I was out there, he kept jumping over shit on the track or dirt, or somebody lost a bell boot. He doesn't miss anything on the track. So I had to bite my lip and go in and put a shadow roll on it, but he had lost a shoe. I grabbed it, I put it back on his foot, and in the meantime, everybody else had trained, and when we were out, I got looking. Amy said Superway and pulled up, made a break and kind of pulled up, was being a little dirty, finishing up his mile with Tyler. You just have to know the horse, right? And I forgot this because he hadn't trained in a couple of weeks because he was sick. But anyway, Superway has been our best horse to date in training. Now, he had a couple of weeks off and he still has to climb his way back to the top. I suspect he will. He's got a big, big, strong gait, and he's a likable horse. Pilot Caviar actually won that set. Amy said she was extremely good. Stay Charming for sure was slipping. It looked like he was going along nicely. When they come out of the turn, they're coming right at me. I had the glasses on. I was looking at them. You could see Stay Charming switches leads and make a break. You could see Superway. I was just talking about how good he looked, and he rolled off. Pilot Caviar took over the lead. Atomics Hanover and Mordecai Hanover were coming to her, but she won the set easily, and that's something I love to see. Amy loves the filly. This was one of my favorite pickups of the whole sale season, and I'm happy to see her doing well. And then, as I said, I went a mile with Deadline after. You can watch me go. You can see he made a little break and skipped over stuff because his head was still a little bit low, and he was still looking over the shadow roll. When you put a shadow roll on horses like that for the first time, what you'll see is they keep trying to look over it, and if they can look over it, then they'll still jump over things. And he did a little bit, but his training mile was extremely strong. I think 247, 248 or something. His gait is really nice. Big, long, beautiful gait. He's gonna be a nice horse for us, I believe. He has the gait to be any kind of horse. Again, there's always that voice in my head when I'm talking about, when I say things like, oh, he's gonna be a nice horse for us. It's January the 16th. So many things have to be packed into now till July. It's really hard for me to stand behind that statement, I guess. I will say he has all the tools to be a nice horse. Set number 4, Rose Run Chief. I went with him. He's still bumpy, but he's got flip-flops on. I'm gonna need his gait to clean up a little bit. In the past, I've seen this path. We go down this path with the horses where they look okay, they do the work okay, but do we see the progression we need between now and July? Sometimes, yes. I made reference to one horse like him that had terrible gait in January of his 2-year-old year and ended up being one of our 2-year-olds, maybe one of our best 2-year-olds ever in Ohio, which was Oso Pine. But you're talking about 2 different gaits. Once that gait cleaned up, and you could see it starting to clean up really quick. Once it cleaned up, he was just a different horse. So I do have my concerns a little bit with Chief, but his attitude is great and his work ethic is great. And those are 2 of the most important things for right now. Cirrus, Juju Me, I think Cover My Short won the set if I'm not mistaken. Travel Blog looked good. The 2 other pacers, Barcelona Mickey Still a little over on the right shaft. That left hind was still bothering him a bit. His gait is starting to come along exactly how he wanted it to. You know, that castration, he really took hard. He got a little bit of infection from it. It took a long time for him to get over it, but you can see his gait changing immensely now. He's still not to where we need him to just yet, but he is getting there. And Willie Wide, we had to make a couple little driver changes in there. Tyler was jogging a horse on the back track, and Danny ended up going with Willie Wide. I know he was at the back. I assume he made a little break at some point, but even him, his hock is starting to look good. Sometimes when you take the OCDs out of their hocks, they'll stay a little boggy for a while. His is starting to clean up nicely. Everything looks good. I'm not surprised, knowing the work that Dr. Brown does. So Willie Wide, Barcelona Mickey got some work to do, but they look like they're coming in the right direction. Cirrus, Juju, me, Cover My Short travel blog were all great. And Rosehorn Chief did the work he could do, but again, had to be slipping with those flip-flops on. Fifth set, I went with Sweet and Steady. Now, I believe I was second place first. Amy blew by me down the lane with History Hanover, and then she made a break right at the wire. He's going to be a nice horse. I hope the glasses caught what I was looking at. I was looking at the horse himself. What a beautiful gait he has. And he just powered by me, and we were starting to trot pretty good the last 8th. He got up and beat Sweet and Steady up at the hobbles on her for the first time today. She was great. And right beside me, I didn't know who it was. I was trying to place which horse that was when we started on our mile. That's not like me. Usually I know all the horses and all the equipment. I just couldn't place the horse that Eric had. And then I got up alongside him and he said, Chips Ahoy Hanover. Old Chip. I just beat Chip at the wire, and Amy just beat me. We were 3 across the track. Miss Lady May was scratched. She had a temperature today, the only scratch we had today. Had a lot of mucus coming out of her nose. Coughed a couple of times. It just made no sense. 101.3. It's not a high temperature, but it is a temperature, and we scratched her today. Gypsy Boy still learning to get a hold of those hobbles. Got to get those flip-flops off. You can't trot with them, especially in the slicker track. Every time there's been a muddy or slicker track, this horse has made breaks, and when it hasn't been, he has not. We just need to swap out those flip-flops up front and get him getting the whole of the track, and he'll be fine. So everybody in that set went rather well. Gypsy made one little skip that was fine afterwards. Everybody else did the work. Dublin's Ferrani was in there also. She looked like she was slipping quite a bit also. And watching her gait, I don't think they had 2 sets of elbows on her. I think they had 1. So that's something we're going to do, is add a little weight to Dublin's Ferrani also. And now we went out with the last set, and this is where the snow thunder came from. And the ridiculously crazy weather, it just blew in. It was so crazy. I told you can literally see it blowing through the barn area, and then it just bang hit us, and it was an immediate whiteout blizzard. So we ended up training. I went with holding pattern. She was good. You could tell she was slipping, but once I found like a good spot on the track where she was comfy around the last turn, she took off and drove away from them. Popular Expert, a horse that was on. He was moments from going on the truck yesterday to have an OCD taken out of his hock, but that 5th spot was filled by Vinestaff, only because Aaron came out and he said, "Hey, is Vinestaff going to be gelded soon? He's getting really dirty." Like, he kicked at me and bit at me. I said, "Oh, I didn't know that. I apologize." Popular Expert could stay right there. Vinestaff was going on the track. On the trailer. He had an OCD to come out, and a castration that apparently he needs more than anything. So that's exactly, those are the 5. I don't have the 5 in front of me. I know that What's the Mystery went over yesterday. Obviously, Vinestaff went over yesterday. She's the Look filly, the Captain Corey filly. She went over yesterday. Yeah, they're all right here. I got them under scratched. Vinestaff went over yesterday. What's the Mystery went over yesterday. This and That went over. That's Chris and Ashley Sorsey went over yesterday. Prada Ornata went over yesterday, and so did She's Got Class. Those were the 5 on the trailer yesterday. So Popular Expert finished up very, very strong beside me. You can see him. I asked Tyler, how was he? He goes, he is such a nice horse. He just puts his head down and works. I want to hear that. That's something I always want to hear. He was very, very happy with how Popular Expert looked. Spring Ice rolled off stride a couple of times. Jason said when he's pacing great, but when he starts making those breaks, he just it's hard to get him back set. And I said, well, you have to remember, we just had an OCD out of him. And once you take that OCD out, you know, the old adage that we go by is once the stitches come out, the harness goes on. You can start jogging and training them at 14, 15, 16 days. That doesn't mean they're perfect right away. They still have to work through all that stuff. And Spring Ice, to me, I thought looked great. Again, flip-flops on that snowy track. It wouldn't take much for a horse to ring the bell today. I had a few myself that didn't really want to be out there, so I'm not too worked up about Spring Ice. What I will say, and I said it when I had the glasses on, nice gait, very nice gait. It's coming along nicely. What a Houdini was right behind us also. He cut the mile. I went by him getting into the last turn, and Holding Pattern was just a big, strong filly. And the other horse finished up right beside Popular Expert. Stuntman made a break in the last turn. You can see how big a couple of times I talked to Eric. You might be able to actually see how big he is. I know he's going through a growth spurt, and we haven't trained him that hard over the last 2 weeks. And Eric said he was fine, he was sound. He said, but you could tell, he'd missed a couple of weeks of work. St. Sarah, I talked to Scott after. He said, oh, my glasses fogged up, and I got back. I said, take your glasses down and catch right up. We're training horses, you got to get them trained. It happens, I understand. St. Sarah was fine. She's another filly with an OCD right hind ankle that has to come out. So her Popular Expert, and there's one other horse that has to make their way over for an OCD procedure. Can't think of who it is right now, but there's one other horse for sure. St. Sarah and Popular Expert both have to go over for sure. So Holding Pattern won the set and looked great. What a Houdini and Popular Expert were right there together behind me. Stuntman was back a bit with St. Sarah and Spring Ice. For the most part, everybody did their work well. No complaints. I'm not going to whine about anything. The track was not great. Some horses, as I said, didn't do as well as I'd hoped, but some did. And I was really happy with what I saw overall from the horses again today. Not a great training day. The surface was not excellent, but the horses did the best they could, and that is really all you can ask. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. As I said, we'd not a very good track day to train on, but the horses got their work done, got a good workout into them. Allure trained in the race bike. I trained one of our clients that asked about Neuromancer. I trained Neuromancer a strong 1.5 miles today. 2:13 was a heck of a mile in a jog cart and a 1.5 miles. So I was happy to see that from Neuromancer. I just want to see him start going 2:1, 2 minutes 59. I've seen him hang out around 2:3, 2:4, 2:5. That's not going to be helpful moving forward. So I just want to see him do a bit more work. As we approach the end of January, and I'm sure that will be done. And as I said, Allure prepped well today for her Wednesday outing. The other two horses Jason trained, Memento Mori and Tally the Tab, they're both coming in brimming with confidence in long seasons also, so there was less of a need to really screw them down tight, whereas I thought Allure could use a bit extra work. So there you have it. That's what went on this afternoon. I'm on my way over right now to drive Time Is On My Side and HP Liz Shadow. Both of them are in a good spot. I think HP Liz Shadow's picked to win. Wouldn't shock me if he did. Time Is On My Side is going to need a little luck and a trip. We'll see if we can find either or both of those and see how we make out at the Meadows today. That's it for this afternoon. I'm going to, we'll do the opening, Amy and I, as we generally do on Sunday mornings. I'll do the rest of my videos as I make my way over to the Meadows with you here right now. All right, take care, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend. Good luck to my partners tonight this afternoon with Time Is On My Side and HP Liz Shadow.